let's talk bees. We're going to get the bees put in their new home. So, initial configuration, like I talked about in my short, the only thing different now is I have added this little riser. Wooden riser, 4x4s and some 2x4s, just to lift it up off the ground a little bit. And then the other thing I did was I actually salted the ground. Normal rock salt that you'd use for salting your driveway. The salt, when it rains, will dissolve and it will kill all the grass around here. We won't have any more grass growing up underneath because you really don't want grass growing up underneath there. Right now you can see I have the hole, the entrance excluders turned sideways to block anything from getting in here. My bees aren't here yet. They will be here soon. If you're an experienced beekeeper, you definitely know this. If you're new to beekeeping, like I am, apparently USPS has been problematic for beekeepers, and that is who the company that I decided to go with to buy my package of bees from is shipping them through. So my bees are delayed. Hopefully when they get here, there's no problems. The queen's not free. We will cross that bridge once we get to it.
1 week later.
All right, I'm looking a little disheveled because I'm in a rush, but I just wanted to update you guys. Right now I have 10,000 live bees in my car. I'll show you more in a little bit. My bees arrived in their package and they are questionably alive. So what has gone from being a normal package installation is a bit of a rescue mission. We're gonna try to do what we can to save the bees that I actually got. We'll come back in a minute. Let's see if we can get these things to survive. I picked up this package a little earlier today. I had about 2.5 inches of dead bees in the bottom. I called one of the gentlemen over at Primal Bee, and he walked me through a little bit of the steps I could do to give this hive the best chance at survival. So we did a Varroa check. The good news is after the Varroa check, there's at least a little bit of life in some of the bees in here. It is super sticky now, so I'm going to throw my veil up, and then we're going to crack into this thing to try to get it open and see if we can keep these bees alive. I'm a little worried about them, but first we got to find out if the queen's even alive. Okay, so taking the top cover off, brushing some dead bees off. We're going to give this a little pat on the ground to kind of just knock some of these bees off of the can. Now, Jason over at Primal Bee recommended I do this without smoke because these bees are already borderline dead. We don't want to make it worse. So this is the feed can. They have really sealed it in here. It is well waxed in there. So we're doing this under a tarp because it was raining. And you can see the queen is in here under all of these bees. But you can kind of see they've already started building some comb and stuff on this queen cage because they've been in this package for way too long. Ow. So I need to get some of these guys off of this queen cage so I can actually inspect the queen. Or ladies, I guess these are mostly girls. That one's really... Oh, that bee is stapled to the mesh. Sorry, you little fallen soldier. Alright, I am going to take a picture of my queen real quick, because she is alive and well. But we're going to try to get what bees in we can at the moment. So we're going to do a little shake to try to get some of them off. And then start shaking them in. And unfortunately, there's quite a few dead bees in here. So Jason over at Primal Bee said that, you know, the bees will remove some of the dead themselves, but, you You know, he said go ahead and dump everything in so we can try to save as many as possible. Some of these bees are really hanging on because they actually started to build comb in here. There is a weird smell coming off of this hive, and I think it's from how many dead bees are in here. The good news is I have some bees that are flying around. They're kind of congregating back on the queen. I will get the candy plug, pull the cork, plug that with candy just to give the queen a couple more days in her cage. And then these bees, if they survive, will let her out. In 5 to 7 days, I gotta check to make sure they actually got her out of this box. If they did, great. If not, I will release her then. Gotta give a shout out to my dad here. He has been very helpful with this whole bee process. And he's also my cameraman right now because it is raining. And I couldn't set up the tripods and I'm under this tent. So, thanks, Dad, for supporting your son's super weird hobbies and random projects that I get you involved in. Okay, so the cork is stuck. One of the things that Jason recommended, you could use a screw and almost use it like a corkscrew for wine. So I'm just screwing this screw in the hopes of being able to pull out this cork. Okay, so cork out, jamming the fondant in there because I do not want the queen to escape just yet. Maybe a little bigger than it should be, but we're gonna hang it in there. They'll get her out of there. And because it's this mesh, they can still get to her and feed her. That's why there's so many attendants hanging out. And then I just bent this little metal wire that it came on to help keep it over the hive. There's no attendants in here. Generally, I've heard you're supposed to leave it kind of level, but because there's no attendants in there that can die and block the hole, I'm gonna hang it face down. All right, the hive is now closed up. We are going to strap it back up. We're gonna strap the hive back up so it's secure, and then we did have some heavy winds the other day. I don't want this thing to fall over with these bees being already kind of worse for wear, so we're gonna add some spikes to help drive this thing into the ground, and I'll be back in 5 to 7 days to see if they survive. It's been about a week since I put in the mostly dead package of bees. There is some activity going on, which is good. There's also, I'll put a clip in, there is like a graveyard of dead bees here. When I talked to the crew over at Primal Bee, they said that they'll actually remove dead bees from their own hive, so I think they were extracting a lot of the dead bees that were in there and just kind of yucking them out in front here. I'm going to throw my veil up. I have the smoker getting warmed up, and we're going to open this up. In the moment of truth. Oh, baby. Here we are, right inside the hive. This is the first thing we're seeing. I am very confused. It looks like they're building a comb in the middle that isn't necessarily on the frames. This is the queen cage, and there's no queen in here anymore. So that means she got out. So they've built this ball of comb at the very top. They're all just kind of huddling around it, and they're not actually filling out this with comb. So I'll show it over here too. This is what they're doing. They're just building this ball of comb at the top, and they're all very huddled around it, but it doesn't have much pattern to it. But I see, you know, pollen on a lot of their legs, which is good. They're getting out, they're getting active. I'm looking to see if I can find my queen. I don't see her yet. Okay, here's the other side of this mass. So this is what they've done in the meantime. Oh no! That piece wasn't very well attached, and now they're kind of angry. I'm not going to take too much time today. There's still a very small colony, so I don't want to screw with them too much. And I'm going to have to reach out to some friends to figure out why they are not building comb how they should be building comb. Because the way they're building comb now, I will never be able to open this hive. That is all the dead bees that came in my package. In an effort to help them out a little bit, we're going to dump these guys. And that way they have better airflow, and hopefully that will help. So the good news is the bees are alive. The bad news is that they're building their comb like they don't know what a beehive is. To be fair, I don't either. I don't know how to fix that, but it's going to make it really, really hard to inspect if they don't, attach their comb to the walls. I couldn't find my queen. She's definitely not there, at least not in the queen cage. So that's a good thing. I'm going to reach out to the crew over at Primal Bee and see if they have any ideas why they're not building their comb appropriately. I'm just happy that this is alive. The amount of dead bees I poured out of there is ridiculous. The package of bees I bought was 3 pounds, supposed to have like 10 to 15,000 bees in it. I wouldn't imagine there's more than a couple hundred in here. Now, the good news is they seem pretty active. I'm hoping that, we will get some growth as the weather warms up here. I'm going to let them sit for 3 weeks now, maybe, something like that. And then I'll check on them again and make sure they're still booming. Hopefully we don't have another mass of dead bees. Those are all out of there. I think it'll help, better the airflow because they covered most of that bottom mesh. So get some better airflow in, maybe make the hive a little bit healthier. Thanks for watching. If you want to know more about Primal Bee and their hive, check out the link in the description. And please like and subscribe if you want to follow along to see if I can turn this beehive into a bunch of honey. We'll see you in the next one.